These are the average suburban kids.
They're promising them the world and then delivering them into hell.
Sit your daughter down and let her know. There's people out there really ready to manipulate her.
Americans care a lot about money. We talk about jobs and taxes and paychecks, but here's what we don't talk about. Right here in the United States, there is a thriving underground economy based on selling children for sex. If sex sells, then business is good. Look at all the money. It was almost $1 billion in this study. But these dirty profits come at a huge cost. This is how sex traffickers do business. It's about supply and demand. First, they need someone to sell. Traffickers target children in their own homes. They find them by combing through social media profiles looking to spark a conversation. The trafficker targets preteens and teens by finding an end, something to bond over and earn their trust. It could be the promise of a modeling career. They might buy them drugs or alcohol, or provide protection from an already dangerous situation at home. Traffickers gain psychological control and use violent threats to force victims to stay. Once the child is isolated from family and friends, the trafficker puts them up for sale. This is where the demand comes in. Traffickers use internet sites to connect with buyers or Johns, but calling them Johns is too polite. They are abusers. They are purchasing kids for sex. So who are these buyers? Court records show they've been teachers, pastors, cops, and judges. They could be the guy next door. The trafficker gets the money. The buyer gets sex. The child victim gets exploited and sold. So how is this different from prostitution, pornography, or other sexual acts? These victims are minors. Legally, they cannot consent. This isn't the movies. It's not like Pretty Woman or Taken. Richard Gere is not the buyer. Liam Neeson isn't there to save the day. This is sexual exploitation. This is trafficking. This is modern-day slavery. It's selling girls.
Say you're only a baby.
Yeah. Some would say that. Everything just sounded nice, like the fast life and being able to do whatever you want, no parents, no rules.
Why motivation?
Man, a pimp gave me his name. He said, I'm going to call you Motivation because you dedicated your woman and inspired her to be something that she wasn't.
Bring it back, bring me all that dough. I need 5 figures, you know how I go. I need a top-notch choke, get down the flow. Say your daddy, well, know how I go. I keep it flying. Snow bunny, top-notch better have my money.
The money is addictive, man. It's like a drug, you know? It's adrenaline. It's a rush.
You got to pay daddy well.
I'm making rapper money. I'm seeing 100,000 in 6 months. At the end of the day, this just ran like a business. It's like Baskin Robbins. You got different flavors, you know? Everybody got their different tastes. Everybody got different type of girls they want. What'd you think of that? That you get out of jail card free? Get out of jail card free.
It's easy to beat the system. People beat the system all the time, so I guess he's telling the truth. It was a get out of jail free card. It made me feel like what happened wasn't really that serious and that it doesn't really matter. It happens all the time. Like, who cares if it's just another girl? Who cares if it's you this time?
Every day, getting money. Every day we ride around in Hummers. Big bodies, big cars, fancy cars, diamond rings, pinky rings, find the things. She loved me because I gave her the game.
I grew up in church, straight A student, pretty typical girl next door. I went to an online dating site and met a guy. I am told that he's a music producer. You ready? Yep. My dream was to play guitar and sing and make music. And so when he asked if I wanted to go and make music, I didn't hesitate and was like, yeah, sure.
Was there ever a music studio?
No, there never was. I never saw any instruments, never saw any recording equipment. It was all a lie.
Have you ever been sad and confused, and have you ever felt like you had to choose?
And next thing I know, I'm selling my body for money, and $30,000 later, I haven't kept any of the money. They've taken everything. They knew where my family lived. And if I ever snitched on them or turned them into the police, basically, they had a gun and knew how to use it.
These traffickers are not driving around in a little white van looking at who they're gonna kidnap.
Can I take your order, please?
They were like, well, how much do you make here? And she's like, $7.50. And they're like, oh, and you work so hard. And they would talk to the managers and be like, y'all need to give her a raise. They noticed her. And
She hadn't been
noticed before. So what are we gonna do tomorrow?
They promised me more money, and honestly, like, the money sounded really good. You know, at the point where we were at, it sounded really good.
Supposedly she was on her way to Wisconsin to go sell purses around the States.
That was the story.
That was the story. The back page ad was 18-year-old Latina, new in town, looking to have fun. I felt mad. I felt beyond mad. I was raged. I started thinking like a panicking mother. I kept trying to call her, and it kept going to voicemail. I felt out of control, like I had no control of the situation. It's hell. It's a living hell that you gotta live day in, day out. With some of the things that she's had to do, some of the things she's seen, she will never be able to undo them.
These are the average suburban kids.
They're promising them the world and then delivering them into hell.
Sit your daughter down and let her know. There's people out there really ready to manipulate her.
Was she alive? Was she well? Were we ever going to see her again? The uncertainty was horrendous.
You don't sleep, you don't eat, you're out driving around. You don't know what you're gonna do if you find her.
I think it was probably the most devastating moment, honestly, that I've ever experienced. She broke down sobbing, and she said, "You won't want me anymore. I'm so dirty. I'm so dirty, Mama. You won't want me anymore."
Okay, these are ones that I personally worked. 14, 16, 12.
12 years old.
12. And she's not the only 12-year-old that we've done there. There's dozens of girls that have been linked to this motel. Young babies, little girls that have been raped, held, sold for sex.
What's over there?
That's the high school. That is a local high school.
How far away are we?
I'm in a football field, maybe.
We're close enough for the kids when they go on their lunch break, they can come over here and party or get whatever they want.
It can be, hey, I'll give you some drugs, but come back and get more kind of thing. So the kid's gonna be like, oh, I just got free marijuana. I'm gonna come back and go get free marijuana. It may happen 2 or 3 more times, and then bam, the drug dealer's gonna say, hey, you know what, you owe me a debt, now you've got to pay me off. And the way they pay off the debt is to turn a trick. I'm talking about a child that is forced into sex slavery.
It's gonna be a long road to recovery.
They come home and you don't have the resources to handle their issues.
She's been through some things that people just aren't supposed to go through.
She's just not doing well. She's got PTSD. She's got acute sexual trauma from her time being on the streets. My child thinks that I will not love her. She doesn't want me to hug her because she's dirty. There's no way that I can talk her out of it. She's got to get professional help.
I was trapped in my own type of hell. There isn't a prison there already, but it's just prison that you can't see.
They're promising them the world and then delivering them into hell. If you think it's not happening in your town, it's happening right around the corner. It's everywhere.
Buyers can be your pastor, your teacher, the soccer coach that lives down the street.
All this operates in the shadows. All this operates in secrecy. I'm sure there's guys who say, well, I don't go to underage because I know. You don't know. I was a big part of the problem. Not just me, but the purchasers. My side of the equation. If there's nobody going to buy it, there's no need to have supply. When I was in the midst of it, I never thought of it. I never thought of sex trafficking. I was paying to escape for 15 minutes, a half an hour just to escape. This emptiness, it's shame, it's guilt, you just feel like you just vomited on yourself. Typical American guy. I mean, baseball, apple pie, and mom, that's me. First 5, 6, 7 years of marriage were good. Have our second child, and my wife doesn't seem to be really interested in me. I wanted that physical affection, and I wasn't getting it from her, and the prostitute becomes a tool for the purchaser. They're a means for me to get my fix. One of the worst days of my life, to have to tell them what I've become. It's devastating. I had it all, and I chose to throw it away. Ended up getting divorced. Don't have custody of my children.
I was in a really rough spot where I needed to make money. And, I have one mom who was already had enough of me, and my dad is out of the picture. So I got very desperate and then entered the world of trafficking. You would be in the apartment alone. Men will request, I want a schoolgirl outfit, or I want R&B music on, it gets worse. You wait for a knock on the door, and then you have to hug them in a specific way where you would put your hands up the middle of their back and then go back down and then around their hip because you had to check for guns, knives. Pimp, of course, would give you Molly or cocaine or anything that was some sort of upper. You're basically a shell of yourself just doing this act and then like just praying, wishing it's over in the next 2 seconds. He would open his laptop and make me read reviews on me. He wants to make sure that his clientele isn't disappointed. These are women's husbands, and these are people's, judges or DAs. They would talk about their wives. Yeah, oh yeah, it was weird. They would talk about one even said, I have a 19-year-old daughter. They just look like normal people. Normal flippin' people.
If there's no needs, there's no need to have supply. If there's nobody going to buy it, there's no need to have supply.
Teenagers bought and sold for sex. It's overwhelming and scary, but there is hope. We spoke with advocacy groups and came up with 3 ways anyone can help. First, learn the signs. Pay attention the next time you're traveling. What do you see? Does something or someone stick out? What's off about that man traveling with that girl? The girl could be wearing something a little too mature, maybe a designer purse or heavy makeup. Sometimes makeup covers bruises or scrapes. Often the girl appears worn out, distant, or scared. You try to catch her eye, but she looks away, avoiding eye contact. These are all signs someone else is in control and could be exploiting her. You may think, it's not my business, they're probably okay, or it's not my place. But the truth is, you may be their only hope. If you see something that makes you uncomfortable, say something to law enforcement. Then bring the conversation home. Talk about it with your teenage sons and daughters. Teach them the tricks traffickers use, especially online. Messages on Facebook, Snapchat, or Instagram could be how they connect. By making an empty promise or even a threat. What they're really doing is luring children into their control. Now, you have the knowledge, and it's time to get involved. Connect with a local advocacy group and ask how you can help. They often need donations, volunteers, and support. You've already started helping just by watching this video. Now talk about what you've learned and share it with others to help change the topic of conversation from selling girls to saving them.